You are live, so it says live. If I didn't see that on the screen, I think I was dead. Cletus,
Yes, Pop.
is that you?
That is me.
And how you doing?
I'm yeah, I'm just enjoying the every day, every moment of every day is an experience.
I've been working up the courage to go into to like Walmarts and other centers and just like shit my pants in front of people.
Well, I mean, I don't really know why it would take courage to do that. I mean, I'm just saying, why would it take courage to do that? Have you not seen people of Walmart videos and things like that?
Well, that's what I was trying. I was going to try to get myself to go viral. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Yeah,
I don't know.
mad
I
shit.
think you'd have to try pretty damn hard because yeah, there's some crazy shit out there.
Well, what if I sneeze and shit at the same time? They call that a snard. That might go viral.
Probably if you added a burp to it.
How about in the dressing room where the current gets blown out of the way by my rear or backside expulsion
Yeah, yeah,
as I'm sneezing, right?
yeah.
Yeah.
That would work.
Videos from the changing booth. Did you ever see that one where this guy gets on the elevator and there's some dude actually is acting like his stomach is all upset and then he farts and it fucking blasts all over the other occupant of the
Yeah,
elevator?
yeah. I've seen that guy. He's got
That
like
shit's
some kind
stupid
of
funny,
trap
right?
thing. Yeah, yeah, yeah. That shit's funny as fuck.
That shit made me. I bet you I watched that 50 fucking times. I laughed probably straight for an hour over that stupid video. That dude was gay. Was a black gay dude. Did you see how he was running down the hall at the end and he was
No, I
screaming?
haven't seen that one. I haven't seen.
Oh, you didn't see that one?
I've
Yeah.
seen series of videos like that where I forget the damn. He's got a device in the back of his pants and he'll
Yeah.
yeah he'll yeah. Oh, that shit's funny.
Everybody's saying I need an intro. I don't know what kind of an intro. Maybe for an intro, I could stay out here for 30 or 40 minutes begging to get to 100. 100 likes. Come on, give me them likes. What's going on, long-time viewers? I could do that. I guess. I don't really want to. I mean, I'm the only stream out there that's attacking the problem. It's in the title.
what
What could that be? Could be the viewers are worse than the creators.
what is the title of this?
The viewers are worse than the creators with a question mark. You're a pretty shitty co-host.
Am I?
First, you become tardy, right? And then the first stream you're back, you're talking about shit in your pants.
I wasn't tardy. I just chose not to participate vocally.
Yeah, see?
I was I was in the chat. That's where it's at.
Uh-huh. Yeah. Well, no, because you could do both from here.
I can't.
But you can. Yeah, maybe you can. I thought you were suggesting a
My
snark.
my processor doesn't can't compute that many things at once.
Okay. Anyway, so let's get on to the topic. Where does the issue lie here? How is it that so many, at least we're exposed to thousands of different people, right? When you get involved with the streaming, even regardless of you're on Twitter, I got a few thousand followers, and then you guys are on YouTube and you got maybe 10,000 or less followers. So we're talking thousands of people in all fairness, right?
Yeah.
And a great number of them are like drama queens, no?
Oh yeah. We got a great number of what specify.
The viewers,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
then even some channels where the moderator's own staff, they call them, or the creator's own moderating staff, are the lowest of the low.
Yeah.
They're the
I
behind the
can't.
scenes dirtbag causing drama and talking about each other and creating rifts between people, claiming somebody said something they did or didn't say, or is hearing something in confidence and then going out and blasting it.
Mm-hmm.
And then you got creator versus, like you got Ben Shapiro now against Candace Owens, right? That's a new thing. You probably aren't aware of that, but there's a debate showdown between these two people because it's
It is one more successful than the other currently. Is that what it is?
Well, yeah, I'm sure that's true, but I mean, in the scheme of things, the viewer doesn't want solutions, or the viewer doesn't want to be asked to do anything because, dear God, it might interrupt this fucking drama that they're attached to, right?
Yeah.
I mean, we don't want to break that loop because, God, that's so comforting to be in that outrage circle and listen to these people come out every day. And I'll find the tweet. There was a tweet today on Twitter. The guy is complaining that nobody retweets his. He's got 11,000 followers. Why isn't the stuff he's getting put out there retweeted, but the big accounts get it retweeted? And I think you're both a bunch of fucking morons because it comes from the mainstream media anyway. The mainstream media says something about global warming, and the next thing you know, you're talking about what the mainstream media said on global warming. Now, you may in fact be disagreeing, but you certainly are spreading their statement, aren't you?
Yeah, are they presenting any facts to support an alternative opinion or just debunk what's being spread?
Well, Al Gore made an outrageous statement today that's just ridiculous on its face, but the fact that he said we're dumping enough heat in the atmosphere to equal detonating 750 nuclear bombs every day. Now, the insanity of that doesn't even require it to be addressed, right?
I'm sorry. Say that one more time. Just let me absorb that.
Al Gore said that the amount of heat that we're dumping into the atmosphere and the amount of CO2 or whatever is equivalent to detonating 750 nuclear warheads a day.
Okay.
And even if that was a year, maybe I got it wrong, and maybe that was a year, but the insanity of that statement doesn't even need to be discussed. It's so ridiculous and stupid, okay, that it needs to be ignored. But no, oh no, we got to talk about Al Gore's statement now, and Twitter just lights up, okay? And now that's the fucking topic of the day.
Yes, that's the internet for you.
And then on YouTube, you can't say anything unless groupthink decides it's something that needs to be said. And if they're not ready for it, they're not ready for it. So what do? They attacked your girl today, right? Well, because don't say the obvious, don't say the facts, don't point to the truth. Don't you dare do that without any drama laden context surrounding it.
Well, and what's funny, right, is the facts. So the facts of a situation can be laid out. It's almost like it's one of two things, right? You've got two roads you can go down. You can lay the facts out as they are, and nobody fucking pays attention to it, or you can lay the facts out as they are, and be just bluntly, ragefully harsh about it, and the mob mentality of the hive mind turns against you because they can't handle it. But then they will. Then that that mob will go back to the base from which it came, and add you to the target list, right? But all you did was tell the truth, and lay the facts out, and it's amazing to me. It's just amazing.
And the fact is, it's what the viewer wants. It's what they basically demand. They are, it's like somehow we've become addicted to cow shit and rolling in it, and we just want to keep doing it. See, here's what this guy said. His name is Big Al. Big Al has got 22.2 thousand followers. Okay, I was mistaken when I said 11. And here's what he says. I don't understand how you can follow me without liking or retweeting a single post of mine. Anyone enlighten me. And I said, maybe it's because all we do is paste the same recycled propaganda. Every outrage in the media becomes a social media topic, for or against. We all need to change this, yet we never even try. So Al, like everybody else, like Candace and Ben Shapiro, like the people here on Twitter, even if it's an outrage that has no bearing in fact, if it's brought up, it then starts to spread across the entire community.
Yeah, I was going to say, I mean, it sounds like, you could probably do some analysis on the problem this guy's talking about and find that the root of the issue is exactly what you said. He's regurgitating the same thing all the other, outrage peddlers have already said, and maybe he's just doing clickbait titling. So people click on it thinking he's going to add some context to it, realize he's not, and they're like, yeah, I've already heard it, and they roll on. So the odds a new person to consume his information coming along are pretty low.
Well, I posted my patch of fake news today. I don't even think I told you that I had done that.
Mm-mm.
But I did post it on Twitter. I posted it in a they call it a thread of 6 tweets in a row. So it's like a Dear Diary to the public on X. And here's what it says, because, you hear this all the time. Everybody keeps saying that they've seen documents, they've got a source, this and that, blah, blah, blah. And then they tell you some story and show you a picture of buildings falling down that have got nothing to do with the incident that actually really happened, right? You witnessed that the other day.
Right. Yeah.
So I said I've been shown documents that make it clear the eclipse is a huge deal. Essentially, by 5 p.m. Monday the 8th, we'll all be aware of a fleet of ships bearing down on us using the eclipse to hide themselves to gain surprise. I'm not sure why this has been hidden from us, but from what I can glean from these documents, it's because panic will prevent governments from organizing a defense, one that will make us conscripts, like it or not. According to what I've seen, the major players of the world have known for some time and have split loyalties between us and them in the fleet. That split is maintained by corporate news outlets and social media companies to divide humanity into camps. One camp of people who resist authority and one camp of those who comply without question. I'm sure it goes without saying which side is which. And those who comply will be beneficial to the beings in that fleet. Also, the divide will cause us to be fighting ourselves before they even get a foot on the ground. And this internal struggle will be the pivot point they use to sell us their benevolent intentions to bring peace and security to all, which is a lie. Please retweet this before it's removed. Even Elon Musk cannot stop that. Be safe.
You left out a part.
What part was that?
That all this information came to you from the same source that leaked. It came from the same CIA source that leaked the fact that Iran was gonna nuke Israel within the next 48 hours.
Right. Well, that's kind of who I was mimicking. I didn't know how to bring that in, and but you're right. Maybe I should say, P.S. This came from the same confidential sources all your talking head use. Matter of fact, Cletus, I'm going to add that, and you can entertain these people in this stream for a minute, because guess what? That will be.
I'm glad I could.
Tweet number 7.
I'm glad I could contribute.
Well, yeah, that's why we wanted you as a co-host. Because you are insightful
often. When I'm not angry, right? When I'm not angry. I'm not an entertainer though, so yeah, you got the wrong dancing monkey. You got to lead this shit show.
Yeah, so this info comes from the same sources as all of your talking heads and big Twitter accounts. Same sources as your media and all of your talking heads.
Oh, that's funny.
There you go. So now we hit tweet number 7. It's even kind of shameful that you can actually have a discussion, okay? A sensible discussion about the chaos that we create for ourselves and the chaos that we continue to roll with unwittingly, it seems like. I mean, are people aware of what the fuck they're doing? The people even hear what it is they're saying and doing and how it distracts and how it accomplishes nothing? I don't know. Maybe accomplishing anything isn't the goal, obviously, right? Well, why find Sebastian? What's the point?
Well, and I mean, it's one of those things that I've thought a little bit about today, that we're in the information age, right? I've heard that before. We're in the age of information, and I think they're referring to the fact that everybody's got the internet at their fingertips. But I would argue that the vast majority of people that use the internet for information are not really using it for information. They're using it for entertainment, whether they realize it or not. And I think more realize it but won't accept it than don't realize it at all.
Right.
Because if we were using the internet for information, we wouldn't pay attention to bullshit that is opinion. You know what I mean? I mean, we would watch things that are strictly facts, that are sources are cited from, not Tucker Carlson's and Brandon Tatum's and whoever else, right, of the world.
It's a fucking mess, man. And the thing is we're afraid to support things publicly or even in a group of people because, and I say it a lot, and it pisses a lot of people off in true crime, that the core tenet of fucking Black Lives Matter, I fully support. And I'm a Republican or centrist, whatever you want to call. I'm not a Democrat. Could never be a Democrat. But their core tenet, their core particular point of view that the corruption is endemic to the system is 100% accurate.
Yeah.
We see that in true crime, do we not?
We do.
Okay. And that's the gist of the thing is that you can have wildly different opinions and wildly different outlooks on life. And yet there is still something that you can all agree on. And that's what the focus need be.
But
when Al Gore says this nonsense, you can agree that electric cars will provide a bigger benefit to us than a downside, and still not be in agreement with Al Gore's point of view. But rather than do that, we'll destroy anything that has anything remotely connected to his point of view. If it even has a microscopic skin cell of his point of view, we immediately attack it and don't like it.
Well, and I don't think the thing I don't like the statement of is the system being corrupt, because I think that misses the real root of the issue, because the system is made up of people, right? And at the end of the day, if you really look at the situation with the system or true crime or the fact that we use information and the abilities we have for entertainment instead of furthering things along, ultimately the reason all that is a problem is because people are corrupt. We as a society are corrupted. We are the system. We are the viewer, the creator. We are all of that, right? So the corruption exists within each one of us. You can't really fault somebody for capitalizing off of it. You can't really fault somebody for running for a political office in a corrupt system when fundamentally we are the corrupt ones. We are the corrupt system. And the only way to change that is to be the uncorrupt alternative.
Right, and it's a very simple thing to do. I mean, look at we're all fallible. We all make mistakes. What we're doing is actually no different than what they're doing out there when they bring up all this drama. The difference is our drama is pointing out that kind of nonsense does nobody any good. It doesn't move the ball one way or the other. As a matter of fact, it rolls backwards. It actually rolls uphill. You lose ground when you just start attacking. And like I've said in many streams, show me your evidence before you tell me your story. I don't want to hear about these parents' background unless the story and that background connects to the disappearance of that boy. Do you follow me? I don't really give a fuck about anything in anybody's past. But if it has a direct correlation to the incident at hand, then it has to be part of the conversation.
Right.
Fair enough?
Yeah. Fair enough.
So the idea of electrifying the country, there's a massive advantage to every single consumer and every single citizen of this country. And you could perceive the advantage to be only climate, but that actual benefit to people is economic. It's much more convenient, much cleaner, many less repairs. There's so much of an upside to electrifying the transportation business, and yet you don't dare talk about that because it makes it look like you're siding with the global warmers, because people are just too drama filled in their head to separate anything based on sound reasoning. Right?
Yeah.
So everybody wants to attack Chris and then God forbid, if somebody says anything that isn't exactly towing the line to support even the real father attacking Chris, you've got to be on that bandwagon or you're not part of the cool kids. Right?
Yeah. No, it's and something that's funny about it is there's no crime that has been clearly committed here. And the most likely crime that has been committed is somebody has abducted this child. And the data from the facts that law enforcement have put out sort of signify that. The wording on the Amber Alert itself sort of signifies that it's almost impossible for any of the family, the mother, the father, the stepfather, to have done anything, because even the Amber Alert says that the boy was seen in the area of the home the morning after the mother last saw him. It doesn't say that specifically, but the mother says she last saw him when he went to bed. The Amber Alert says he was last seen the next day.
Yeah, which is confusing.
Right.
Because he either was seen the next day or he wasn't.
Right.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
But
nobody's talking about that, right? Everybody's on the bandwagon of
right, and we should be asking for clarification from the authorities.
Right.
And they could say we have no comment, but on something like that, clarification doesn't seem like an investigative problem for them to clarify.
And the problem comes in with the fact that nobody would make money off of that clarification, because that clarification actually threatens the profitability of the situation. Because the moment one of the parents could not have been the cause of this child going missing, the market goes away.
Right. Right. And look at it. It's fair-minded people when this first started. Fair-minded people, and this has been the same when I brought up Dylan in the Idaho 4. Typically situations like this actually came from inside of a home. So you can't get any closer to the parents than the kid being missing from inside the home. So for us not to consider whether the parents were involved or not, you would have to be brain dead. Right?
Mm-hmm.
So that's fair. But as information is released or as knowledge is obtained and it's confirmed, okay, and it's not altered. So both fathers were unavailable at these times, and the mother was home. So at the very most, you leave the fathers alone. Their involvement at this point, personal involvement, can't be substantiated because they have what we're made to understand, confirmation of being at work, 3.5 hours away, and the other one as a guard or a deputy at a prison, right?
Yeah.
So you're left with the mother. Well, as the investigation unfolds and more information is revealed, whether you want to continue thinking she's involved or not is fair, but nothing, according to the police, connects. Didn't the police come out and say that they've been cooperative and nothing connects the parents as being involved or something to that effect?
They've come out and said all the parents and all three, basically the mother, the father, and the stepfather, have all cooperated since the beginning. Anything they've asked of them, they've provided, they've went along with. And at this time, there's no evidence to suspect foul play.
All right, then we should leave them alone.
I mean,
yeah. Listen, this is where drama fills the void from thinking. This is how thinking has been stolen from people, because everybody's capable of doing it. At this moment that we just outlined is where people start to dig into what they can believe. And they believe, based on the information they have, that the parents have to be involved, and they refuse to accept what the police are telling them.
Well, but there's where this circles back to the corruption aspect with the system, right? Because one of the hangups, everybody, including myself, get lost in with that is that law enforcement can lie to the public, right? They can and they do. And
you don't know that they did.
You don't know that they did, but because you know that it's possible for them to do so, and in many cases it's protocol, right? That creates a problem with trusting the information from the trustworthy source. So if there's no source,
doesn't mean you don't. But again, that still doesn't warrant the digging up of the background of these parents, okay, and dumping it into the public.
No, I agree with that. I mean, right. I don't think that's warranted at all, because at the end of the day, this isn't a crime. You're not proposing a theory that could help solve a crime. You're proposing a theory to rally a witch hunt that may or may not even be warranted.
Correct. And this is what I mean. So you did kind of put a little bend in what I was trying to say, but you still fit that bill when it comes to, we have knowledge of things that are fact. We don't know that they apply. And so to apply them and create theories on that application is nonsense. It's a distraction. It doesn't help. Yeah, the police can lie. Yeah, the parents can lie. Yeah, but based on the data that we do have, we have to accept it at face value until otherwise until it changes. I mean, how else? You put a puzzle piece down on the table and you try to build around it until you can't. Then you got the wrong piece, right?
Yep.
Okay. And that's not what people are doing. They're not using their head. They're not thinking. They're going on what they believe. And we know the cops are crooked, so we believe they're lying to us in this situation because they lie to us so often. Therefore, you can go off the rails in any direction you want. And I brought this up with 12 Gauge last night. All of these cases, from Donna Imes, the Kansas City 3, the Kohberger case, this case, and a bunch of other cases, are all off the rails in directions they should not be because there's no data to sustain the fucking points people are trying to make and the arguments and drama they're creating. There's no data to support it. But let's do it anyway. They do this all over Twitter all day long, and I'm so stunned that adults don't see what they're doing. And it's the viewer doing it as much or more than the creator.
Yeah, I mean, it's I don't know. My opinion 100% is still out on, that conversation we were having before this about where's the bigger issue, right? The viewer or the creator? Because I do think there's some merit in the argument that the creator came from being a viewer, and in many cases learned from watching other creators, right? And then set out on their own to create on their own based on the influences they had seen or from their own set of, morals and beliefs and views of things.
What's another common thing they do? They all run around to everybody else's channel and make friends and pat each other's fucking back to try to get fucking people in their stream to follow them on my stream and blah, 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 blah. And to be honest with you, if I never met you guys, right, and only the other people that I've interacted with on here, right? So let's say there was no Cluminati stream, but I was here and I was interacting with all these other streams. People know that, but you don't see me going to those streams to let anybody know I have a stream, do you?
Right. Yeah.
No, I don't give a rat's fuck about them or their viewers, because in my opinion, they're actually the problem I'm trying to point out. And whether they're doing this intentionally for money and clicks, or they're just doing it unwittingly and unintentionally because they're not really thinking it through, or they're just too stupid to realize it. There's, you can put any label you want on it. The fact is, that's what they're doing, right? Like in the Kohberger case. If Linda Lane is real, and I actually walked away from YouTube true crime because of that Linda Lane footage in the beginning, and said it was going to cause all kinds of trouble, and it still causes trouble to this day. That video. So on the idea that it might be accurate, let's just say that is a valid filming of vehicle movement during the times that are almost exactly consistent with what is in the accusatory instrument or the probable cause affidavit of times of this crime. Different events that are described about automobile movements. Linda Lane appears to fit that, correct?
Yeah.
Okay. So let me just say to anybody out there, I don't care what you think, but it's an absolute fact that if you observe the car that comes to a stop and profile and leaves, and you observe the car that goes around the building, they're two different fucking cars. Unambiguously, there's no way you can argue that those two cars are the same. Therefore, it can't be Bryan Kohberger. On that alone, on just that alone, that's the only value I can derive from Linda Lane. Not the noises, not the sounds, not the reflections, not some jerk off peeing on people, okay? That one video clip says to me that even if the car in the parking lot that gives me its profile is Bryan Kohberger, the car that went around the building to park is not. And that's all I need to know about that video. Next.
But instead of having a conversation about that, right? There's been so much time and energy spent looking and investigating and then talking about and consuming information about. I saw it as recently as I think it was yesterday, and a discussion was ensuing about at 4:21:01 you can hear a trunk close, and I've been so disconnected from that case for a while. I'm sitting here thinking to myself, what the fuck does that matter?
I-
Why does that matter? So you hear a trunk close. Why? Who cares?
Well, let,
Well, that
let,
that
let me
has
give you.
nothing to do with the guy that's arrested. So why does that matter?
That's what I mean. The thing is, there's data that you could take from any particular situation and look at it, and it's a full stop thing. The kid's missing. We know the conditions under which we've been told he went missing. There's been no sightings of him. There's been thousands of people searching thousands and thousands of acres, right or wrong, and no
No,
hide
that's
nor hair of the child. Was
right.
this child abducted? Did did the parents eliminate him and beam him up to some ship or something? I mean, come on, did that happen, or did this kid just walk out of the door? And did then fate intervene, or did he's walking like Forrest Gump across the country in a hoodie and nobody's noticing him? We don't know, right? Uh-oh, you dropped.
Yeah, yeah, I don't know what happened there.
That's okay. I brought you back. We brought you back. But right, I
Well, I
mean,
think
we have no clue what happened to this young man. The best thing we could do is post flyers and keep asking people to look for Seth Rich, or not Seth Rich. I'm
right,
sorry, Sebastian Rogers.
Sebastian. And I think that if you look at the facts as we know them, the logic would dictate he was most likely abducted, or somebody has him in a home that has not been searched. That those just seem like the two likely scenarios, since there's been no sighting of him. Then I mean, I don't really know what other options there are. But
Yeah, and,
instead
and
of
for me to
considering
think
the
that he was
logic,
there's
I
no
was just saying,
electronic trails that we're aware of, right? Are there any electronic? I don't know how the kid could just walk outside or walk and then get abducted from his own area. I mean, I imagine it can happen. I think that that's a long shot. It seems to me
well,
maybe he was lured out of the house.
when I say abducted, right, I'm not really specifying where he was picked up, or where he was, where the abduction happened, whether it were in the house, 3 streets down, whatever, right? But I think logic would dictate that that's ultimately the most likely scenario, considering the amount of searching that's been done. But in either case, there's almost no discussion about that right now. It started as because one of the parental figures involved made multiple statements in interviews that didn't line up with one another. He's got to be the guilty party, right? Instead of looking at the logic of the situation, he's got to be the guilty party because he he's the crowd favorite to be the villain.
Right.
Instead
Right.
of what's logical and what's not, who's the crowd favorite to be the villain? Because that's who we're going to sharpen our
Well, look,
pitchforks and light our torches for.
isn't that what they do in every single case, though?
Well, and
They did that with Donna Imes. Remember Donna Imes? The hospital should never have released her. The police should never have dropped her off. They're responsible. They're supposed, and then they tell you exactly what they have no idea. They don't know what the fuck they're talking about. Yet they tell you exactly what should happen, how it's supposed to go, and why these people are culpable.
Yeah.
And in the end, that's not true. How about the chemist up there in Kansas City that put those 3 guys in his backyard? He killed 3 of his friends, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
That was
And that guy can't explain what he did that following Monday, the Monday after that, because apparently he was probably as whacked out on the same drugs as them. And the only difference between them being dead and him not is he passed out in the house. Right.
Right. And you know what? So that's a really good that's a really good scenario to compare to with Sebastian Rogers. Okay. Yeah. Logic would immediately dictate that this guy could have had something to do with it, right? There's a lot of things that make it possible. But then when you really think about it and dig into it, there's a lot of things that make it impossible. In that situation, there was a lot of discussion about both sides of that, right? But what didn't happen was endless hours being spent digging up history on each of the individual people involved in this situation. What didn't happen was what was family drama, background drama,
There was against the
ex-girlfriend.
guy that survived. There was against the guy that survived.
Yeah, there was.
Okay.
They went after that guy. They went after that guy like he was a free meal.
Remember, he worked on the AIDS thing.
Yeah,
He's
that
the
is true.
professor. He's the chemist. He must have created something. He killed his friends. He was arrested. He has drug issues. He has this. He's moved all these different. Remember?
Yeah, I
They
guess so.
went after that guy.
But in the
And
end,
it was a guy on Fox News that said what I said in the very beginning. It looks like they all took a dose of fentanyl, and the difference is this guy stayed in the house and they didn't. I don't know why they didn't, but they didn't, but they died outside.
right.
And in the end, that's exactly what ended up happening.
Yeah.
I was lucky in my accuracy. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying I knew. It was my summation based on what the info they gave us. And yet,
look at what happened when that came out, right? Because
Everybody ran away.
here's the problem with true crime, and my point in the absence of profitability with the truth. That came out. It makes complete sense, but there's absolutely not an ounce of drama in that situation that anybody can profit off of, because nobody's going to profit off of going out and attempting to attack the fentanyl issue on YouTube. No true crime creator is going to go out and do that, because that's not a simple subject that can be addressed.
Let's back up and put something in there. What do you suspect the Donna Imes issue had anything? Did fentanyl have anything to do with that?
I would,
Yeah, and here
most likely some type of drug, right? Based on what we know about the people.
But it's fair,
involved.
ain't it fair to say fentanyl could have played it's most likely it played a role. It did in their case. It probably did in hers too.
Could
and
have.
that fentanyl discussion needs to be had. See, this is why I'm saying this, because this is a good point about the viewer being the problem. The next topic should have started and remained with those two cases as an example, okay, of the fentanyl poisoning that our country's we're under attack. And nobody wants to address this. None of the viewers want to talk about that and the implications of that and what it would take for us to make that go away, right? Nobody wants that conversation, but they want to go after the guy. The guy's a biochemist. And the research of AIDS, that makes him automatically, he made some funky drug and killed his friends. Look how easily we can do that. But the real problem of fentanyl, well, hard fucking stop. We can't talk about that. We're viewers. We want you to talk about drama.
Well, and that's I think more proof that it is ultimately entertainment instead of information, right? Because it's whatever would make a Hollywood script, right? that's literally where it just starts and stops. If it's not something that you could make a movie out of, people,
Right.
People don't flock to it. Because at the end of the day, people tune into things for entertainment, whether they realize it or not.
And they've taken probably the greatest invention man has ever had, and they've destroyed it. Imagine if, just as an example, and I'm not religious, but imagine if Christ had this device. Imagine if Gandhi had this device. Just imagine. What if Paul Revere had this device? He could have been drinking a spot of tea that we were being overtaxed on while he was telling the world the British were coming. Could have done that from the comfort of his home on his phone. Okay? He wouldn't have had to ride his horseback. I'm just stunned. And like, how dumb are we? What's happened to us that this device has been manipulated in such a way to hold us back?
I wouldn't say dumb as much as I would say complacent and lazy.
Blind.
Well,
ignorant.
Blindness that blindness that originates with complacency and laziness.
We're willfully blind. We're willfully ignorant.
Exactly. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Here's the other thing too, and I always like, people. Sometimes you guys are going to say something in the chat room. Do not take my response to it as a personal attack on you. It's a generalized summation. When I say not watching TV don't mean nothing, because you're out here watching this, which is the same thing as the TV you're not watching. It's just in a context you're able to agree with. but it's the same topics. The TV feeds social media's direction. The TV says there's 750 atom bombs going off every year. Okay. And that's the kind of heat we're dumping into the air. It's a ridiculous comment. Why would you engage it? And yet, somebody in the media says that because some asshole named Al Gore made that point, and then we got to talk about it. The difference is we try to talk about it in a context we can accept. But the bottom line is, are we not talking about the same bullshit that they're posting?
Yep.
So what do you mean you don't watch TV? Of course you do. It's being delivered to you by your neighbors and people you think are your friends online. That's what's happening here. People aren't learning anything. People didn't learn anything. And there wasn't even an attempt to learn with those Kansas City threes and Donna Hines.
Well, and that's, where I go with complacency and laziness, right? And I'm guilty of it myself. I mean, before we started having this conversation, I'm literally watching videos about shit that I'm sitting talking about right now, right? And it's at the end of the day, I'm consuming it. I'm a viewer. I'm a user, right? In that moment, that's what I'm doing. But, I go back in my head sometimes and think about, but before the internet, what did we do, right? People would be outside. They would be talking to each other or some other way of filling their day, right? Then comes this information age. And, in the beginning, when you first get acclimated to it, there's a lot of information at your fingertips. But now, when people get acclimated to it, it usually starts with a cell phone, and it starts at an early age. And what they don't use it. Most of them don't even know how to operate Google at that moment. The first thing they learn is some social media app. And then they become consumers of the bullshit like everybody else.
Right. And we perpetuate it amongst ourselves because we ourselves don't put an effort in to do the right thing. Right. If you're really interested in true crime and you're really interested in what happened to Donna Imes and the Kansas City Three, you should have saw that to the end, and that discussion should have expanded beyond more fentanyl cases. The fentanyl discussion should be being had by we the people. We shouldn't be fucking jumping off to the next fucking outrage. And that's exactly what we've been trained to do. We're like puppets on a string. And we did it to ourselves because there's nobody stopping us. Right? Who's holding the gun to your head saying, like, you boycotted Bud Light. So who's holding the gun to your head to stop us from getting together and threatening to boycott people that won't protect our privacy? And your privacy, just think about it. Your car, your phone, your cameras, your security systems, your internet connection, everything you do is tracked and logged and monitored. Right? What the hell's happened to us? And nobody seems to have any issue with that. But dear God, this guy was an asshole to his ex-wife. And that's the topic over the missing child. That trumps the missing child. Chris was a jerk off to his wife. Huh, imagine he's had 5 wives, this guy. What a leap it must take for one of them to come forward and say he was a bad dude. He's had 5 of them. Clearly there's something going on. I don't need to know, right? But that's more information I need to know. He had 5 wives. I don't need to hear from the wives to know he was a bad husband. They're past wives. Clearly there's an issue there. Right? How does it apply to this missing boy? Did kids go missing when he was with those 5 women? Neighbor kids, kids connected to him, his own kids?
And I would say at the most obvious commonality that exists there is him, but the most obvious point that should be made but nobody makes is that what it absolutely means is, regardless of his flaws, one of his biggest flaw that results in him marrying 5 different times is that he's very unsuccessful at finding the one that's right for him.
Right.
So, and when you go down that train of thought, it could be that there's nothing wrong with him other than he's a shitty judge of character.
Listen, unlike him, I'm a little different. I suspect there probably isn't anyone right for me, so I don't attempt to find the one. I was married once. I could have been married 5 times like he has, but a man has to know his limitations. Right? and I don't make, I just don't want to invest the time at my age to put it all on the line to provide for someone else. I just don't. That's it for me right there in a nutshell. I don't want to be your provider. And unfortunately, and I hate to say this, but in today's world, kids and dogs and cats and pets and women are loved, and men are only loved because they can provide. Now, that's not true in all cases, but in a vast majority of things you see in modern society with all these little sugar babies and sugar daddies and all this shit going around with Instagram and showing your, it's about how men provide. And the man that can provide the most gets loved the most. It ain't matter what you look like. We've really fallen down a rabbit hole in our society. And the sad part is we've allowed it and participated in it. And here we are. And then, I guess maybe I'm crazy for pointing it out. Right?
Well, here's a point to what you were just talking about that you left out. Men provide, but don't you dare expect acknowledgement or appreciation for it, because that makes you a chauvinistic pig.
Yeah, so I'm going to change that topic because I could take this to levels and places people are not. They're all gonna I'll get 18,000 dislikes for one word, I'm sure, and only 3 views. So people just come in here to dislike it. So we'll try to avoid that.
Well,
if
you get haters, that means you got something right. Isn't that a fair statement?
Yeah, and I don't know. Again, I don't know what I don't even know. Like I didn't want to stream for the longest time because part of the question I have is, are people even willing to face themselves to see their part in all of this and do something to change it? Do people even have do they have that capacity to do that? I'm not so sure people do. It's a pretty easy thing to do, but I'm not so sure people want to do it.
Well, and I guess that's where you and I differ. I'm not at the point of accepting that people don't have the capacity for it anymore. I don't feel like it's an evolutionary degradation in the gene pool. I think it's just complacency and laziness, which is a habit, not a trait.
Okay. And you can change habits, but I'm a habitual eater of steak, right? I don't want to, and I don't think twice. Why even think twice that habit's a bad habit?
Right.
That's because 22 with the social media, we've been conditioned, and we've actually been part of our own conditioning and don't even realize it.
If you so what you just said, right? Let's say you wanted to live to be 150 years old, but you've got the habit of eating steak, nothing but steak. Facts came out that said if you eat steak, you can only live to be 80 years old. It's a fact, uncontested. That would be a fact. You would have to make the choice to break the habit. You would have to get rid of your complacency with steak to achieve the goal that you ultimately want.
Right. Yeah, well, I smoke, and it's a fact that smoking does cause serious health issues, and there's no doubt about that, right? Mm-hmm. I'm not anti-science, and I think that there's valid. Listen, it's true. Okay, we can agree with that, I think, and yet I continue to smoke, and that's what I mean. And I think when it comes to social media, the amount of good that can be done through the ability to communicate with one another is bigger than we can dream of. But yet we've accepted to use it in the way that we are, and playing with all this drama and getting off on sidetrack and going after each other, one creator versus another creator. That guy said this guy said that. You got Ben Shapiro and Candace Owens now going after each other. And in what world and in what fantasy does that move the needle to benefit our lives? And it doesn't. And for some reason, I don't know. Maybe it's better to die laughing than it is to die knowing that you're part of it. I don't know what the reasoning is, but
and I kind of got sidetracked off of my point a minute ago. But the difference between you and I is the existence of the hope and the belief that we can do better. Right? You quit streaming before because essentially you give up hope that things can change. Whereas I believe they can. It's just a matter of creating the change, creating the opportunity for the change.
I've come from a background that most people don't climb out of. Their excuses to why not to give them the death sentence. Okay. My background is that background. My background created these fucking guys that are in jail for 60 fucking years, and they should have been zapped with the juice machine long before then, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that background it can be an excuse, as you see it used more than anything else, or it can be like many of us. I'm not the only fucking guy. Many of us with that background climbed out of it and live a normal life, right?
Yeah.
That really gets no attention, and when brought up, everybody wants to pat you on the back, like, you know, but they seem to forget. Okay, no matter what happened, most of the bad things I did were my own choice, and because I don't do them no more, don't make me deserve a pat on the back, okay? Because I should never have done them, right?
Yeah.
That would be what a normal person would not have done those things, and so you can lay blame, or you can then look at it in a context of, oh, well, I mean, yeah, great work. You said, no, I don't ever see it like that. I see it like I'm responsible for what I did. And the fact is that I don't do it doesn't mean that I deserve a fucking reward. I should never have done it. And that's accountability. That's taking responsibility for yourself. It's not that fucking hard to do.
Well,
and it just seems, go ahead.
The fact that you changed your ways showed that you weren't complacent in living the life that you had, right? You made a change. You broke the habits. You got
and
rid
that's
of
what
the
I'm saying.
complacency.
That's why I do what. That's why I came back after you kept hounding me. I mean, it's part of my makeup. I don't. You know, I think anybody that really puts on their thinking cap and starts to review the social media that they're interacting with, I think they may find themselves disgusted with themselves and willing to simply stop doing it. I don't want to hear about Al Gore on my Twitter stream. I want to hear about the efforts of Sebastian Rodgin and how much more ground they covered today, and where flyers were distributed, where they could use more, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's what I would like to see being brought forward, not that the dad's an asshole, okay? All right. That doesn't help anybody anyway at all. And all it does is it demoralizes the situation, and it turns it into a circus, just like you predicted in the very beginning. You hope this was solved quick because you didn't want to see it turn into a circus.
Yeah.
Right.
I think once this is resolved and he's found, and I if it plays out the way that I think it will, I may start my fortune telling.
There you go.
That she's been trying to get me to start. Because
So
all you got to be right is once.
Apparently, and you can monetize the hell out of that shit.
That's right.
It's like the weather forecaster, right? They don't even got to be right once. They just got to tell you it's going to rain today and it's sunny all day. You forget that they said it was going to rain today because you enjoyed the sun.
All they got to be is close more often than they are far away from what actually happens. That's why there's percentages of precipitation. We're just gonna label every day with 50% precipitation, because it either is or it isn't.
Right. I told my daughter, she's a very good looking girl. She's a lawyer now, and I told her she should either take over my business, which allots you great income and very few hours of work, or be a meteorologist for a news station, and that way, in that position, you could be wrong every day and still earn a fantastic income.
Yeah,
you can't really, they don't intentionally. They're giving you the best understanding of what they see, and it is what it is. Weather is a very unpredictable thing, so you really can't. Like, I don't complain about news forecasters. They're doing a job, and they're quite often they're not correct. But the weather just, the weather isn't like a clock. At 5 o'clock is going to come every day. But how do you decide that cloud's going to be the one that drops rain over your city, and it doesn't do it before it gets there or after it passes? Difficult, man. Very difficult. Anyway, so Mr. Musk is having a free speech to let us somewhere. We have 75 Twitter viewers, and we have probably 3 YouTube viewers. Let me see here. Oh, we got 8 YouTube viewers.
Hey, you're on a roll. You're on a roll, Sarge.
Yeah, and this is going to be an interesting one, because as far as YouTube growth, Twitter, I'll get the growth just because there isn't a whole bunch of people doing it. but the YouTube growth, I think this community is going to be a bit more sensitive to hearing that I consider the viewer the problem as much or more so than the creator.
Oh, absolutely.
That's not going to score me points with the viewers, but I don't give a rat's ass. It's true. And you know what? 8 people just heard that. And those 8 people may, be outraged. I mean, go out and hate on me with it. That'd be fine. It would probably get me another 8 viewers.
Hey, what I can tell you one thing that I've seen, and I could probably go back and put some actual data too. Outrage over logic and facts does happen, specifically in the YouTube community, but I have seen that result in more loyal viewership. I have seen people that get outraged over the logic and facts come back and be diehard loyal listeners and participants in the conversations.
Right.
So
Yeah, it's difficult to be told individually that you're the problem, right? You're your
right.
own problem.
It's a
difficult
hard thing to
digest,
hear and accept. Yeah.
right? And I listen. I am susceptible to the same failings as any other person on this planet. And even in some of my descriptions and some of my points of view, even now, are influenced by that same failing that we all are fucking trapped off in. But I do have the guts to come forward and say, unless we change ourselves, unless we start doing things together that are correct and not entertainment and not drama and not bullshit, and unless we change that, then, I mean, if this country were to come to an end, it's your fault. It ain't China's fault. It ain't Biden's fault. It ain't Trump's fault. It's your fault. You, the people. Blame yourselves. Freedom isn't lost on one guy that you voted for or didn't vote for. Freedom is lost in mass when the masses themselves become complacent, right? And the mass thinks, you guys all think that this document protects you. That document ain't even a good piece of toilet paper. So fucking old and crackly, you wouldn't even want to wipe your ass with it. And I'm referring to the Constitution. That document ain't saving you. It's a piece of paper, for God's sakes, right? It's like holding up the Bible saying that your bullet can't hurt me. Well, yeah, just watch this, right? Am I wrong? Am I crazy? Or am I
no?
off
And
base?
I think the ultimate statement for that, right, is that guns don't win freedom. Information does.
Right. And guns are only needed as a last resort. And why do they say that and then never tell you what the resorts prior to that are? That's the best fucking part. Violence is the last resort. Well, what comes before violence? Right? Nobody tells you. Nobody even talks about that. But that's what needs to be discussed. What comes before last resort? And that would be that you must force yourself to find common ground with the people in your own country that you consider your enemy. And look at, rightly so. So I'll give people that, rightly so. But are they an enemy enough to bring your whole society to a collapse? Are they that threatening to you? Are they that dangerous? Are they that much of a problem that it's worth losing everything until you get to the last resort? Are they that bad? And I say no. Our differences are big. Our belief systems are big difference. There's big voids between them, but that doesn't mean we don't all have common ground. Your enemy shits, pisses, eats, drinks, burps, belches, farts, cuts his toenails, maybe not. But that goes for all of us, right? That's the stuff that should be discussed, is the common ground. That should fill the void in between what's going on with looking for Seth and in the Kansas City 3, the common ground we all share. I don't want anybody to die from fentanyl poisoning. I don't care if you sniff cocaine. It's none of my damn business. But you shouldn't die, fathers, families destroyed, because our system is allowing that stuff to encroach upon our country. We know where it comes from. Same thing with cocaine. We know where it comes from. Why don't we just fill airplanes with Roundup and just go hit the fields? We know where the poppy fields in Afghanistan are for the heroin. So why don't we have airplanes full of Roundup? Right? I mean, we should be having conversations like that. Solutions to these problems are vast, they're big. But if millions and millions of people could rally around a solution, even if it isn't the proper solution, there would be an alternative proposed. Because millions of people want something to be taken care of. And yet We're blowing that opportunity. And I honestly believe because Elon owns Twitter, that this is probably the most ripe opportunity for us to gather our senses, to collect our numbers, and do something. Because he'll allow it. He will not ban you. I got reported for saying many of the same things I'm saying now, and I say it directly to other people on X, and they report me. And X immediately responded to these reports, reviewed it, and said there was no basis for the reports. My account was fine. So even the people that don't want to hear what I'm trying to say or don't want that to be spread, they can't stop you as far as I can say on Twitter, because Elon owns it. If anything changes in that setup, then our window of opportunity to get together as a group will vanish. And then you're going to have to sit down for the last resort. But so long as Twitter is free, you don't need to resort to the last resort. You can do something together. Speak, Cletus.
I've got to roll
Hang
out.
nail on your big toe.
I've got to roll out.
Oh, it's 10 o'clock. It's an hour. I don't blame you for rolling out.
Yeah, I'm about to turn into a pumpkin, so you better end it quick.
Fucking pumpkin. Yeah, I don't like pumpkins for some reason. Watermelons are fine, but not pumpkins.
Well, then I'm about to turn into a watermelon. So
okay, that's fine.
Yeah.
Well, anyway, give us your last thoughts and words, and then I'm probably going to keep this open for another 30 minutes because it's Friday and I have nothing planned. There's no casino this weekend, so
My last words are, "You're the best, Pops."
You are a fucking. You're a mess. You are a mess. And tell Clue if she's that I said hello, and
Hello.
oh, there she is. Well, hello, Clue, and may the fair weather people of YouTube that find it in their ignorance to come after you for logical and correct pieces of information and points of view, may those people have an awakening and shut their fucking mouth. Okay. All right, you two. Go be you two. I'm going to be me on YouTube.
All right.
See you. All right. I'll talk to you.
Bye.
Bye. There we go. I wonder where my buddy, what the hell's his name? He was on here yesterday. All right. You really believe there are no people who choose to change their ways and be accountable for their bad choices? That's very sad. Not everyone is a jerk. I love how you framed it as to everyone not being a jerk. Well, people not willing to change their ways doesn't necessarily make them a jerk. So I totally disagree with that, Tracy. But I do believe, based on available data from our own viewing of what we're all seeing online, yeah, I really think there are no people who are choosing to change their ways. Everybody just picks up the propaganda and debates it and argues it and finds a different thing. Everybody creates drama, or when the drama is created, everybody joins in on it, right? So now what? Now, when you're witnessing that, do I think that there are people out there that are willing to change their ways? I think there are. But what I don't think that there is, and I did find someone else that's probably not as blunt as me or as brutally straightforward as me out there. And I gave you her name yesterday. She got 62,000 followers. Do I think that there are people that are willing to change and get together and do the right thing? I certainly think there is. I certainly think they're among the entire group. I certainly think there's probably more of them than even they know that they are one of them. But the problem is there's nobody out there trying to drag their asses forward or try to give them that knowledge, that information, that it's well past time that we all changed, that we all try to do things that benefit all of ourselves. And in not changing any of our own behaviors. There's no need to change what we're doing. You're on the internet, you're on your phone, you're on a computer, your computer's connected to your TV, you're on your TV. However you connect to this, you're here and you're participating, right? Wouldn't it be more effective if we actually concluded a lot of these cases and learned a lesson from all of these cases? Like, I don't know. I'm waiting for the Scott Peterson case to become more relevant again. Apparently, they found documents that were hidden by the prosecution in that case. The defense wasn't given eight pages of documents that are critical to the case, that were conveniently misplaced. My point is, we move on from one outrage to one outrage to one outrage, and we never really find anything through it all. I mean, the Kansas City 3, Donna Imes. Look at what they did with Trump with Spygate. He was a Russian spy. How come they're not claiming he's a Russian spy this time? They tried to impeach him for it. They did all of that nonsense. Why isn't that the argument now? Because it was never true then. And they know it's not true. And there's actual documented proof to show it isn't true. But do the viewers know that? No. You know why? Because the viewers didn't stick around to spread that and know that and share that and concentrate on that. Instead, the viewers were distracted by Al Gore. They were distracted by Tucker Carlson. They were distracted by Sean Hannity. They were distracted by Rachel Maddow. They were distracted by Biden making Trans Day on Easter. They were distracted. And those are the things that people just latch onto and run with. It's quite ridiculous. Never finding a solution, never trying to find a unique solution. But dear God, if you're against gays and a transgender advertises a beer, you'll destroy the oldest brewery in the history of the country. You'll destroy it. Because somehow you think destroying Budweiser is going to change the fact that there's gay people and some people that chop their penises off. Somehow by destroying Budweiser and your infinite wisdom, people, by not buying Bud Light, you're fixing the problem. And you're not. You're exasperating it. You're not discussing the real issues. You're not able to come to any conclusion or any understanding or any solution. Knee-jerk reactions. And there's just no channels out here telling us that. There should be more people that are more capable and better communicators than I making this point. And maybe making this point in a completely different way than I'm making it. That maybe people would be happier to hear. I don't know. But there just isn't any sources out there doing it. And that's a fucking problem. That's one of the main reasons I started to do this. You know, I got that pinned to my profile. My profile is very clear when you go to it. It says, we have become our own worst enemy. Follow me and let's fix this shit. Right? What up, Heather? Yeah, people shouldn't believe anything that isn't spiritual. I'm glad you said that, 45 Square. And again, folks, I'm not attacking anybody that posts in my chat room. I'm taking what you're saying and I'm expanded upon it to include all of us. And this will be I think this is what I'm going to just stick with for a minute. I said in another stream that words actually do cause a biological reaction within inside the human, within inside of us, within inside of our minds. When you're happy, it's because something happened or you did something that made you happy and you feel happy. And really, this drama has the same effect on us. That when you see Al Gore say something insane and you respond to that, you basically feel like you've done something. That's the problem with what we're suffering here with this propaganda. And it's exasperated because somehow along the way, folks, the people smarter than me and smarter than us, or at least more cunning, have got people to believe certain things. Like you believe the earth is going to boil its oceans, or you believe that we're all going to flood, or you believe that Christ is showing up Monday during the eclipse, okay? Or you believe this, or you believe that. And in fact, you're not supposed to believe in any information unless, folks, unless it's spiritual in nature. You say that there's a God. Some people are completely opposed to that. They believe there's no such thing. That is where belief belongs. Believing there is no God is where you believe your belief should be applied. It should not be that you believe data. You believe that no good father's involved. You should have no belief in that. You should be able to see that, think that, and wait to see how it develops, but not entrench yourself in that opinion and believe in it to all information that now can be brought through is going to be ignored. I've seen this happen a whole bunch of times, especially in politics, where Even when the truth is revealed, if that truth doesn't comport with what people believe, they will not accept that truth. A good example of that is when and I don't mean well, I don't mind kicking Cletus in the balls, even though he's not here. When you say police are corrupt or police can lie to you, that's true, but it's not where it's nothing you need to believe in. It's just a fact that if it applies to the situation you look at, then that fact applies. But if you have no basis to apply that, then that fact that cops can lie has no place in the conversation of the case you're looking at. Until you know that they've lied, you can't call them liars. Right? And then to look at the case through the view of the lens of cops lying is just crazy. It's not how you're supposed to analyze knowledge. You're not supposed to take, it's like you can't believe all people that are of color are bad, or you can't believe all people are white are bad, or all people are Asian are bad. To generally believe that about an entire group of people, we all know is wrong because we're all individuals. Yet when we deal with data, we don't seem to understand that there is a separation between knowing, understanding, thinking, and yet entrusting your belief to something. Because the act of belief does cause reactions within your body, within your mind. And we've been trained to believe in information. We use the power of belief when we review different things, and it clouds our judgment because believing is not thinking. To believe means that there need be no fact to support your belief. There need be no evidence. And as a matter of fact, if you believe, and this applies to knowledge and religion equally, and this is why it's supposed to only apply to spiritual things, the term belief, the act of believing. You can't prove to me personally on paper or on a monitor that God exists, but you can believe it. You can believe it with all your heart, and you can sing the praises to God with all of your heart. And I'm happy for you. And I love that you're doing that, whether I believe the same thing you believe or not in religion. But we can't use that when you say the cops lie or what have you, or the father had 5 wives, therefore he's a piece of shit. You can't get drawn off into that and then run with that. And the whole time the issue is really, where did the boy go? How did the boy get missing? Did anybody take him? Is there a crime? Did he run away? And in light of not even knowing that, the conversation most likely should be, how much area have they searched? Can we help with the search? Can we post posters in areas that aren't being posted? So rather than becoming proactive people that are interested in their acts and conversation for a solution, rather than be that group, we're the group that runs off into the drama. Right? You believe in global warming or you don't believe in global warming. And the reactions between both sides of these, you have to admit, the reactions between both parties are the same as people that have one religion versus another. Right? That's listen, Tracy, that's perfectly fine, but that does not. This isn't, don't take it personal. A lot, and that's part of the other conditioning is I say things a lot of times, folks, and unless I call you out directly, I'm not accusing people of not doing any of the things that I'm suggesting we do. I'm not saying I'm the only guy in the world that's pointing this out or can point this out or knows it. I'm not saying that at all. What I'm saying is that on a large scale, it's never a discussion. You never see it being done. You only see it being done when you could get people outraged, when you can get people to want to oppose the other side. Then you see people act together. Right? And I think it's rather disgusting. I went out and bought Bud Light. I really don't give a shit who advertised it. I don't even drink. Gave it to my friends. But the point is, that's an example of misdirected actions. If you don't like the way they advertise and it offends you and it offends your spiritual or religious beliefs, sometimes you got to keep that to yourself. Other times, maybe you ought to have a conversation with the board of directors and the advertising people. Maybe you ought to put them on blast, okay, and remind them that's the beer of the guy out in the oil fields. That's the beer of the guy, and we're fixing your car and your air conditioning, doing your plumbing, framing your houses, roofing your buildings. paving your streets. That's his beer, okay? And we expect you to at least give us the respect that we were gracious enough to fall in love with your beer. We would expect a little of that in return. And our sensibilities need not be insulted. But those are the people that did it that are your target, not the brewery, not all the people that work there, not all the jobs that a guy that I just explained, the guy that fixed the plumbing, that fixes the electric, fixes the machines, that runs the cans, we don't want to hurt him. And so my point is that we're more than capable of doing things to get a result. But there's no strategic or intelligent understanding or organization other than it's a knee-jerk reaction to an outrage, rather than a well-planned, thought-out course of action to correct a known issue, like user agreements, like your privacy, like your car knows where you are, and other people can access that. That stuff needs to be stopped. We need our privacy back. Like, that should be what we're fighting for, first and foremost. And then other things need to change. The fentanyl coming in, where is it coming from? Does our government know? Why isn't our government stopping it? Why aren't and then people demand that it be stopped? And rather than engage in any of that kind of tweeting and any of that kind of social media and any of that kind of YouTube streaming, we just are stuck on stupid, and we wait for Candace Owens, and we wait for these other people, these other big Twitters. I finished 3 gun coloring books. Well, great. You're pointing out how many times Biden lied, how many times Trump lied, defending this guy, defending that guy. We spend all our time wasted, right? And like Tracy just said, Sebastian is what is important. And what are we doing to help Sebastian? We're arguing about whether his dad is a philanderer or yikes. I think I'm making sense. YouTube is one of the reasons I like YouTube, is because there is a chat room. But I suppose maybe, am I making sense to anybody in the chat room there on YouTube? Twitter, for whatever reason, very few people are able to respond on Twitter. And you know what I'm going to do here? I'm going to do this. Copy. So here's what I'm going to do, because I know there isn't many of you there in YouTube. There's 6 or 7 or whatever. I'm actually going to give you a link that you can come up into the talk area, and I'll give you the floor, and I'll be quiet and listen to your ideas and things you think where my direction could be off a little bit, or could be bettered, or whatever. I mean, there's that link. Click on that. It'll bring you right into the StreamYard studio, where you can come on and talk and share your ideas or your views and contradict mine. And I will happily give you the floor and listen. I know that sounds hard to believe, because I do enjoy having a talk where I'm talking. But believe me, I can do it. Just like I had, what's his name in here last night? I had 12 gauge. Matter of fact, let's see if he sent me a message. He did. I'll send him one. I'll tell him. Paste. I just sent him a message. Let's see. Yep, nobody joined. Nobody's going to join. And you have a phone, you can join. If you have a computer with a microphone or a built-in camera in your monitor, there is a built-in microphone with that camera. You can actually come up here. You don't have to show your face. You can black out your camera or put up a different avatar. You can remain anonymous. I do got spam. And for YouTube, a chance to subscribe. I want to thank people that have subscribed. I went from what I think were 34 or 35 subscribers. And 12 gauge is he's actually running a show right now. And my channel, I think, has a total of 81. So that's good. I picked up almost 50 new subscribers here on YouTube. And on Twitter too, my profile has grown to 2242, and it started at 2221. So I picked up 21 viewers there. Nice. It's going to take a lot of time. My brain is too fried to think or debate right now, but I just like to have discussions where people can actually support what they're saying and not just say, he sends mean tweets. Well, you know, everybody's got to be outraged. Everybody's got to, I've got to behave in a way to make you feel a certain way, and that's just not my job. I'm not responsible for how you feel. You are. And when listening to me, if you don't realize I'm not talking directly to you or insulting you directly, if I'm making an insult, well, unless I call you out, then I would be directly. But in general, it's all of us. All of us are the problem. We're all out here by the millions doing everything but creating solutions. And then we want to be out here bitching about the people that we've hired to create solutions who are stealing our money, lying, cheating, causing murder and mayhem around the globe. And we want to talk about that outrage. Not anything at all about how we can change. But unless you subscribe to the fact that only your vote can change it, which is ridiculous, because the documents that were this and the concept this country was founded on is we are the government. They're representatives, right? They're your representative. That doesn't mean your representative is going to get it right. And when they don't get it right, it's your job as the people to point out to the representative, oh, sorry there, pal, but you're screwing up. Excuse me, but you're making a mistake. This is not what we want. Where is the group of people that are able to say that? Where are the millions of Americans that can say that? And instead, you got to say it in a sideways point of view. You got to go onto these social media accounts. Unbelievable, man. Unbelievable. Everybody's got to take shots at people for abortion, pro-abortion, anti-abortion, pro-global warming, anti-global warming, pro-gun, anti-gun, pro-free speech, not free speech. And in the end, what do we end up with? We end up with jacka shit, or what they call shit and shinola, because we're talking about shit and all we're getting from it is shinola. So it's and the divide is wide. I think when we had that, I didn't want to say the word, but when we had an illness and everybody picked sides, and nobody sat down and discussed the science. Those people that believe that the people believe in science don't even understand what science is. To use the word believe in connection with science, you don't even understand what science means. What you understand is what the media has stated and what's been repeated over and over again on social media. Believe in science? Science is a question. The whole purpose of science is to question everything. So the bottom line is that if you believe in science, then why aren't you questioning everything? And the reason you're not questioning everything is because you don't even know what the word science means or the whole purpose of science. Science is never an end all. Is never that. It was never intended for that. Science was created to question everything. And when you read people saying, I believe in science, that's again more proof of what I'm trying to point out to you. They've convinced us to believe in information. They have trained us to improperly use, and believe me when I tell you, your power to believe, okay? Your power to believe is what they've corralled and what they've got you to use on data. That is fucked up. Who's out here telling you this? Peterson isn't telling you this. None of these talking heads that make huge money and live in big mansions, none of them are telling you any of this. None of them want you to understand any of this, and it's not that fucking complicated. If you perform an act of kindness, you get a feeling from it. When you take a position of belief, you get a feeling from that. You entrench yourself in a belief. I mean, it's radical, but some of the biggest believers on earth actually blow themselves up in their belief. And here's what's happening to America. We so wholeheartedly believe in data that we're destroying our own country because we're arguing about a belief system on data when there should be no belief on data. Nobody's right or wrong. Everybody's opinion may be valid. No question is a stupid question. That's what thinking is all about. Believing doesn't allow that. That's why science was invented. I mean, it's a whole big circle jerk of information I'm sharing with you that's just been there for everybody to see the whole time. Science was born of religion. Okay? They wanted answers to the question. They didn't want the priest of the village to come forward and say their grandmother died because the devil took her because she was evil. They wanted to know why their grandmother died. Okay? They wanted to know why their crops failed. They didn't want to hear these stories that it was a god or it was this evil or good. And that's what they were hearing. Some people wanted to know the truth. And so some people started to look into questioning everything. That's where science was born. And science started then to name, okay? And tried to create processes to understand. I mean, a lot of you probably like the show like The Mentalist. A lot of you probably like the show or some shows or books that are Sherlock Holmes related and shows like that. I think a lot of you may enjoy them. I think they're also poisoning the public, but the premise of that wanting to know is the reason why you're even on the internet. And that's been stolen from you. Right? And the funny thing is what the part that's been stolen is we all know that regardless of what side of the aisle you're on, there's corruption on both sides. Regardless on what side of the aisle you're on, if you have a keen enough eye, you realize that there is no separation. All they have is a different part of an argument about homosexuality, an argument about religion, an argument about guns, an argument about religion, an argument about abortion, an argument about weather, an argument about those are important to us. Those are the things we need to focus all our effort on. Those are the things that when we see a tweet about it, we jump all over it and want to attack. Listen, if you believe in science, the science is clear. The last ice age ended in 1850. The globe is still globally 2 degrees cooler today than it was at the end of that ice age. So, or prior to that ice age, the ice age cooled the earth. So when the ice age started in 1300, we'll say it was 10 degrees outside, using stupid numbers to make it simple. And today it's only 8 degrees. We still have not recovered from the pre-ice age temps. We're not back to them. And those pre-ice age temperatures had nothing to do with combustion engines, fossil fuels, or power plants, or windmills, or anything. There's your science. Now, that being true doesn't mean that you shouldn't be concerned about all the chemicals and pollutions that these companies are dumping into the air. Of course you should be. They are typically, maybe you could consider them separate issues, but they're both issues of import. And you don't have to agree with global warming to have the common sense knowledge to say, we probably should find a way to reduce these emissions. It couldn't hurt us, right? And so you have common ground there. You don't have to agree with that guy because he believes the earth is going to turn into a cinder to agree with some of the premises or some of the ideas that they're floating. Some of the ideas they're floating are good. Some of them aren't. So where's that discussion? That's how we should try to utilize. Claypool's out here, my nemesis. But that's how we should be trying to utilize this mass tool of communication. The most amazing thing we've ever put on Earth has been for this particular internet. Here I am, just some guy randomly. You don't know me. I don't know you. And there's between the two streams at least 100 people that I'm communicating with from all over the country or all over the world, for all that matters, right? And we don't give enough credence. We don't understand the power of what we have here. And in fact, that's one of the things I would hope people can draw from some of the points I'm making. We have the tools, we have the knowledge, we have the capability, we have the resources to come together and make real change without politics. Put politics aside, without your belief system in God or without God, without your belief system in some of these issues of the day. Okay? Put those to the side. I do got a couple blue wrenches in there. Yeah, I do. And focus on what we can do together, regardless of who the hell you are and what you look like and what color you are. Who gives it? That's the other best thing about the internet. You can interact with everybody. You don't know nothing about them. And there's no prejudice allowed because you really can't even view the people you're talking with. Like here, I don't know what you people look like. Some of you I do, like Claypool. Do her in a second. Anyway, what did he say? That wasn't nice. I got new comments over here. And so what on Twitter is really kind of nice. I got like 90 people up there. That's kind of cool, or 89 or something like that. Ozza like that. 91. You got a couple of blue wrenches here. People's heard that, did they? Yeah, and that's folks. We can come together. We can do things. We can fix things. We can correct things. We can do so much good that it doesn't matter. If it doesn't matter. I don't want to know your history. I don't want to know your skeletons. I don't need any of that information. I don't really care about any of that information. But I do see, regardless of who you are, where you came from, what you are, what you aren't, blah blah blah, that there are common grounds we can all share, common goals we can all work to. Are we spinning the wheel tonight? No. I'm not doing politics like I used to do politics, Claypool. Not even close. Not even close. The entire way it's been framed and the entire way it's dealt with on social media is just, it takes insanity and puts a twist on it that is kind of gross. Oh man. So are the legals with tuberculosis and measles going to American schools? What happened to the health and science community outcry? Now, that could be a legitimate issue. Okay? And community outcry. Where's the health and science community outcry? Listen, I think that's something good, but Tomi Lahren says that. She's some famous person, I suspect, couple and a half million voters. She should stick with that. And topics like that should be on their own merit. Those questions should be answered, and the American people should be informed, and the American people should have a voice. But for now, Tomi Lahren's got a lot of people. Tomi Lahren, if she sticks with this, and she could get millions of people to come along on that particular topic, which is a good topic, right? Then something can be done, right? If that message, if that particular thing is answered by the government or by the Department of Health or whoever may be the one to answer that, if an answer can be found from that, then a solution may be something that we pursue, or maybe it's already being done, right? We don't know. It's like the Sebastian Rogers case. We don't know if he walked out and just ain't never coming back because he don't want to. If he was abducted from the home, we don't know how the boy went missing. We just know he's missing, right? And until we know, we're going to keep asking the question, where is he? Once we know, then other questions that are appropriate will present themselves. And it's funny, we get these questions that present themselves long before we ever have a solution to the case. And that's consistent, I think, even more clearly in true crime than it is in politics. But I think the bringing together of politics and true crime, I think those two communities might be a mirror to one another. That's what I'm hoping. That's why I'm bringing true crime into some of this political stuff I'm talking about, because you can see in others what you cannot see in yourself. Okay. All right. So that and here's another thing. Do you honestly think that if as an example, 10 million people are on the same page to get answers, or 10 million people are on the same page to demand user agreements be brought to a right of privacy, blah, 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 or we leave? Do you really think that if 10 million people could accomplish something like that questions like this could go unanswered? Because that's a very legitimate question. And this is what I mean. For her to ask it is great. But if she doesn't stay on that topic and she doesn't get maybe get a petition going, which is something I will eventually do. But at this point, I don't have that big of a following. It's going to take time. But if I were in her position, then that's her, the next step for her would be to start gathering her wind under her wings. And the wind under her wings is 2.5 million strong, and bring these people together to get this question answered. And do it with a fair and honest way. You don't have to attack anybody. You don't need any drama. It's a question. Is it connected to politics? Sure, because they let all these illegals in and jam them in our schools. So yeah, there's a political tone to it, but you don't need to enter the discussion that way. You don't need your political leanings brought into this topic. You simply need the answer. Are the illegals with tuberculosis and measles going into American schools? And the other aspect of that is, are they even being tested at the border for this? We need to know that. And if they're not, then are they being distributed to American schools? What's being done to protect our children, right? But when you got 2.5 million viewers, and you simply post this, and then that's the end of it, then you're not helping anybody. You're just filling people with information that keeps them outraged. You're not providing them an outlet, a source, or some place that they can do something. You're just getting clicks for yourself. You're keeping your fame up there. You're showing people how smart you are. It's a very narcissistic thing that you see a lot of the creators, and I admit I'm a narcissist, but you see these creators doing. Ben Shapiro, Candace Owens. I lost my devotion to Candace Owens and all of these other people by the time I got done with politics, because I started to view things in the way that I'm trying to explain to others, that it's our fault that these people even exist, that it's us, the viewer. It's how we interact with the information that we're given, and exactly what we're not doing with the information that's more important than what we are doing with it. Because what we are doing with it is a fucking shit show. A shit show of epic proportions. And none of it brings any solutions, brings any conclusions, or brings any information into the fold that can help anybody. And when I say that, I like to refer to the true crime cases of Donna Eyes and the Kansas City Three as two great examples of people not sticking with the outrage. They create all this outrage, all these accusations, all of this tension, all of this talk and conversation, all these clicks, these people videoing, and in the end, it becomes a nothing burger, as if they're passing away because of fentanyl isn't worthy of a discussion and worthy of us as a group to demand some kind of resolution to this problem invading our country. We all individually see that. We all individually agree on that. And there's no political leanings on that particular point of view. There's another topic to which two opposing groups of people, right and left, have an absolute interest in making sure that their loved ones don't die, because they made the poor choice of doing drugs. If you see it as a poor choice, you don't even have to see it as a poor choice, an unfortunate choice of doing drugs. You could frame that any way you want, but I promise you, both sides agree. They don't want their friends and loved ones dying from from a small little sniff of cocaine or however it's taken to instant death because the fentanyl was mixed in it. Neither side wants to see that of the people they know. So where are we on that as a group? Come on, man. Come on, folks. We're better than this. We're smarter than this. We're more capable than this. We, the people, are the government of this country. We're the only country on earth that we, the people, are stated as the government in the documents of the founding of that country. We, okay? That means people you disagree with. That means people with different religions. That means people with different skin color, different appearances, different heights, different weights. We is not denoting a specific group of people with a specific set of qualities and a specific set of beliefs. We is a generalized statement that includes everybody. And we've lost that understanding of so, and in losing it, and it being denied us, and it being everything, the media, the corporations, and the politicians, everything they can do to keep us separate. The last thing they want us to do is to see that we have strength in numbers and that we have strength in common ground. And we have strength in letting our differences be differences. Anyhow, folks, it's 10:39. It's been a great stream. I feel good about it. Yeah, but it's not the government representatives that can answer. It's not up to them to fix anything, 45 Square. It's up to us to fix that. That's what it is. It's up to us to fix this issue. It's up to us to get the answer, and it's up to us to propose a solution. It's up to us to open our arms to people we disagree with, because the solution as to whether their child gets polio, the mumps, or tuberculosis is as dangerous as it is to your child. It's got nothing to do with right, left. The fentanyl, same thing. the right to privacy to your own personal information. Corporations should have no business dabbling in that. And that should be protected, and both sides of the aisle benefit. I'm so tired of these differences that we argue about. They never go away. You know, I'll end with this. Even on the abortion issue, I'm completely against abortion. But I knew this a long time ago, that the abortion issue was a state issue, not a federal issue, that the original ruling that the federal government, that the Supreme Court made saying that it was constitutional is wrong. Their argument for constitutionality was on the doctor's right, doctor-patient privacy. I get that. But the fact that that ruling went through Roe v. Wade and gave a protection to abortions to be happening anywhere and you couldn't deny them was wrong. But the ability for abortions to happen in individual states are an individual state's decision based on the individuals in that state. That was always going to be the solution. Okay? And yet none of the people that were arguing against abortion ever even considered that, were ever told that. And now look where you are. The Supreme Court corrected itself. Bravo. But that still did not make abortion illegal in the United States, because it was never going to be. States may individually support the right to or not the right, support the ability to get an abortion. Okay? They may codify that in law, and that's legal. And yet all of these abortion arguments since 1973 forward, and all of these counter arguments against, not one of them presented to the listener the fact that in the end, no matter what you do, there will always be a place where abortion can be performed legally, because a state can vote that. Why didn't we know that from 1973 forward? That would have taken a big edge. It may have taken a big edge off of the argument, or it may have caused a whole new different type of argument. An argument that only now may or may not be made. And I don't think that you can even win the argument, because that's exactly what the Supreme Court ruled. That this is a state issue, not a federal issue. There's no provision in the Constitution protecting and codifying your ability to abort a child. Nothing in the Constitution protects that. That's what I mean. We get so caught up in the drama and so caught up in getting angry and getting our outrage up, you know, and going after each other, the pro-aborters against the anti-aborters. And listen, in the end, you both win. I mean, talk about an example of the ultimate compromise on issues that surround a belief system. And there's an example of a belief system from two devoutly opposing forces coming down right in the middle. And that is how we succeed. We find a middle ground. Stop calling each other names. Stop digging into people's backyards. Stop going into their closets. Stop digging up their skeletons. We all got them. Leave these parents alone in the Sebastian Rogers case. Just leave them alone. And if other people bring them up, call them out. Tell them, leave the parents out of it. Leave the parents out of it. Unless you have a piece of information that shows a parent is culpable, shut the fuck up. Okay? That's exactly how we should deal with each other. We should have no fear. We should be honest and fair. You're not going to get banned from many channels if enough people are taking a position. Let's leave the drama out and deal only with the facts. Matter of fact, you'll build yourself a more solid channel. You may even, in fact, help the creator of that channel to get on the right track and stick with the facts and stop with the drama. And that'll be the end of it. I'm grateful for the people that come up, however there may have been beat, not even numbers. That anybody came up at all to listen to what I'm saying is appreciated. And you all be good. You all stay out of trouble or get in trouble. Just don't get caught. And that's about it. I'm going to say good night. Let me type it into StreamYard. I don't know if it goes to Twitter, so I typed it in on Twitter. Night all, NIGHT. You all have a good night. We'll be back again maybe Monday, Maybe over the weekend. I'm not so sure. But I'm going to try to stick to around 9 o'clock at night, at least for now. In the spring, that may change come summer. But I'll try to do an hour or so on Friday or Monday to Friday. Thank you. Thank you.